Hello my Luminites, it is Ivy and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hello, my name is Ivy, also known as Intuitive IVM, here on this channel and on calendly.com/intuitiveivm, where I do tarot and oracle card readings. So if you guys would like to book a live private voice reading with me, go ahead and consider checking out the link down below. So, hello. I am also the co-founder of a small spiritual business company called Unearthly Treasures, where we create things such as earrings for those that dare to be unique and different. We also make spell jar necklaces for things such as protection, prosperity. We make essential oils and mists and sprays for different needs, like being with sleep or love. And we also create keychains that correspond with your favorite deities like Aphrodite and the Morgan, and just to honor your favorite deities. So if you guys want to check us out, consider clicking the link down below. We are Unearthly Treasures at unearthlytreasures.com. So, hi, my name is Ivy. If you're new to this channel is all about the magical, the mystical, and the supernatural. So if you are into one or all three of those things, consider hitting that subscribe button and also hitting that notification bell to be notified when I post. I usually post 3 times a week. Mondays are for the magical, Wednesdays are for the mystical, and Fridays or Saturdays are for the supernatural. Today is a Wednesday, so we have Mystical Wednesdays. And today we're going to be talking about the top 5 deck recommendations for tarot beginners. So I have the 5 decks that I highly recommend for people and also why I recommend them. So these are just all my personal beliefs and based off of how I learned and everything like that. So let's just go ahead and get started. Okay, so coming in at number 5, we have Tarot Made Easy. This is also considered technically the Gilded Tarot. So this is the deck that I first began learning with. The reason why I liked this so much is because not only did it come with a guidebook that made it really easy to understand tarot, but this is the Gilded Tarot, so it's very similar to the traditional Rider Waite Tarot, except that it has 3D cards and such, and I love how you can see the elements for each one. So if you know anything about astrology, you guys will know blue, which is air, and that has to do with like mentality and intellectual and like just learning and everything like that has to do with your mentality. So that's why I highly recommend these. I really love the drawings on them. Honestly, they're very self-explanatory. I feel like if you are the type of person that can kind of pick up what something means based off of the card, this is something that might be a little bit easier to work with. There are a few cards in here that just have like the symbol in them and such, and don't have too much of like what's going on behind them, but it's usually just like the aces of the decks. Other than that, they're pretty much very fully detailed. We have like the moon phases in the background that represent what's going on with the cards, and I love how they incorporate the sign into each and every single one of the cards. For example, the 4 of Pentacles, you see him carrying the 4 of Pentacles. It's called Tarot Made Easy, so it's meant to be something that is for beginners, and this deck had beginners in mind, and as well as the fact that it's very close to the Rider Waite Tarot. So if you were to look up any card, usually you're going to see the Rider Waite Tarot, and this card's not too far out. This deck is not too far off from that traditional tarot, that you'll know which card they're sort of talking about. And if you're into astrology and you know anything about astrology and you want to incorporate tarot into your practice, this would be a really good deck for you especially. So coming in at number 4, we have the Everyday Witch Tarot. So this one I really like for beginners just because of how fully illustrated all of these cards are. Yes, all of them are witches and they all have witch hats, and that's really cute and cool, but I really love how detailed each of these cards are and how much you can tell what each card means. And you don't even have to look at a guidebook for it. For example, like if we look at the 4 of Wands, we see that there's some sort of celebration going on, and that's what this card means. It means celebration. So there are no so all of these cards in this deck are very fully illustrated. They all are they're all pretty straightforward and very clear on what each of the meanings are, and each of these cards, both the major and the minor arcana, depict full illustrations of what each card means, and it really grasps what each card means. Oftentimes when you buy tarot, sometimes they can slack a little bit when it comes to the minor arcana. When it comes to the major arcana, like, you know, the death card and the lovers and all those big things, they tend to be fully illustrated. But when it comes to the minor arcana, a lot of decks just don't do as much of a good job as they do with the major arcana, and they sort of lack it a little bit. But the Everyday Witch Tarot does not do that at all. It's very clear what each thing means, what each thing represents. And not only that, but if you go based off of an intuition reading, and then if you want to learn how to read tarot intuitively, this is an amazing deck because of how illustrated and how much symbolism each of these cards have. So coming in at number 3 is the Good Karma Tarot. So this deck I recommended for beginners because, again, just like the Everyday Witch Tarot, it's very straight to the point. It's very, like, you don't have to have a guidebook to know what each of these cards means. They paid a lot of attention to detail for each picture, but what I especially like about this one is that it's told in a more modern standpoint. So if you're the type of person that isn't too much into like the whole Renaissance theme, and you see the Renaissance theme and you're kind of like, okay dude, like what is this person doing and why are they dressed like this? This is a more modern take on the tarot, and you still can grasp the meaning of each card, probably a little bit more even, just because it's more modernized and told from our point of view here in the modern era versus like the Renaissance-y sort of vibe that we get with a lot of the other tarots. So these are a little bit more simplistic than like the Everyday Witch Tarot would be, but it's still very easy to grasp what each one means. For example, like the Queen of Wands, we have this like very confident girl. You could tell by her Superwoman pose. Superwoman poses, if you guys don't know, literally just means like a lot of people do it to feel confident, and that's what the Queen of Wands literally is. She radiates confidence. Next, coming in at number 2, we have my favorite. I did a whole review on it, and it is the Modern Witch Tarot Deck. So this deck, again, is one that has a lot of modern drawings. I really love this deck because it shows a lot of like female power. There's women of all shapes and body sizes and colors in here. It's a very modernized take to the classic Rider Waite Tarot, and I love how it's still the classic traditional Rider Waite Tarot. The reason why I suggest this one, especially to like females and things like that, is because it's one that you can deeply relate to, and I feel like when you deeply relate to a deck, you can connect with it easier, and it's actually a lot easier to learn. For me personally, I found that when I was able to connect to a deck, and this was actually the first deck that I deeply connected to, I learned tarot a lot quicker than when I was trying to learn with a deck that I just wasn't, you know, really feeling it. And that's what this did for me. I was able to see women of like my color, of my like shape in here, and it really just, I really deeply connected with it. And this is another deck that, like, if you wanted to read based solely off of your intuition, you would be able to do so with this deck. It's very deeply detailed. It's very full of symbolism in each of the cards. They're very similar to the Rider Waite deck. So if you were taking some sort of tarot course to learn tarot, or you're looking online, or you're buying books, you usually tend to see the Rider Waite pictures used for the tarot because it's the most traditional and widely used deck. And this one is pretty much the Rider Waite, but a little bit more modernized and with a feminine take. So this is one that I deeply connected to. I absolutely love this deck, and this is one that I highly recommend to anybody, any like any, especially female out there, that has ever asked me or told me that they want to learn tarot and they're like, which deck do you recommend? This is always my go-to deck to recommend to any of those people, just because of how deeply I connected to it. And I understand that not everybody's going to connect to it the same way that I did, but I just really liked the fact that they had so much diversity and that I was able to see myself in these cards, because it just got me more, it just basically tuned me more to this deck and really made it a lot easier for me to learn. And then lastly, coming in at number 1, the number 1 deck that I recommend to anybody that wants to learn tarot is, of course, the Rider Waite Tarot. So for the longest time, this is actually a deck that I didn't have. I never liked the Rider Waite deck. It was too old school for me. I didn't connect with the people, the drawings that were in there at all. But now that I finally have it and I have the traditional one, I'm surprised by how much I actually use this deck and have grown to really, really love this deck. This deck, the reason why I recommend it to everybody is because, like I said in all the other ones, this is a deck that's most commonly used worldwide. So if you were to take a tarot course or you were to buy books learning how to do tarot, usually the pictures that you see and the images that you see of the tarot is going to be these cards right here, because this is like the traditional, this is a traditional one. Another reason why is because even though, yes, it's very old school, as you can see, a very, very old deck, this is one that if you are a type of person that wants to learn based off of symbolism or just reading intuitively, this is one that you can deeply, truly connect with, just because there is so much symbolism in each of these photos. You can literally take into account every single detail in these cards, because they all will symbolize something. They all will symbolize something. From the colors that they choose to use, from the background and the very, very back, what's behind them, the tower, everything that they choose to put in each of these cards are there for a reason, and a symbolic reason. And like I said, it is going to be the most commonly used tarot. I actually took a tarot course, and the deck that she suggested was the Rider Waite. So even though I didn't connect with the Rider Waite deck, that's when I got the Universal Waite deck, because she says that that's the most common one, and that's the one that she recommends to all of her students, because it's the most traditionally and widely used tarot. That is it, you guys. If you guys have any other questions, please feel free to let me know. These are my top 5. Of course, there's so many other tarots, and just because these are ones that I recommend doesn't mean that these are the ones that you have to go for. If there's another one that's not on this list that you truly connected with, go with that one, because when you truly connect with a deck, honestly, it's a lot faster and easier to learn than when you don't connect with the deck. For example, that's what happened with the Modern Witch deck. Like, I was trying to learn with the Universal Waite deck, and then I just wasn't having it. I just wasn't connecting with it. So I got the Modern Witch deck, and I learned tarot like that because of how deeply I connected to this deck. So you guys, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it, and if you haven't yet, please consider hitting that subscribe button to be notified when I post. I post 3 times a week. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!